Hello and welcome. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live from productivity to exit risk, how GTM AI hits revenue. So we'll sort of give it a few seconds for people to join. I know sometimes these things go live and you'll get a pop-up on LinkedIn and it'll take a second or two to kind of join the conversation. If you are joining, welcome. Please drop in the chat, where you're joining from and what your role is. We'll do our best to answer questions. So feel free to ask those questions in the chat, and they'll feed through to the system here, and we'll get to them as we can. So all are welcome, but today's discussion is really focused around AI and its role. And the effects that it has if you're a revenue leader or perhaps an operating partner at a PE firm, and the differences between those roles. So let's get into it. So something has fundamentally changed in how value gets created, and it changes the job every revenue leader has in this room. For the last decade, private equity made its return largely through financial engineering. Buy a business, load it with cheap debt, expand the multiple, but money isn't cheap anymore. And that playbook is breaking. So the highest leverage way left to drive enterprise value is the commercial engine itself. Revenue, margin, retention, the people who run it. Which means the revenue function is suddenly where the value story lives. And AI is slowly rewiring that exact engine. Inside your CRM, your call recordings, your lead scoring, your outreach. Usually as a default, nobody consciously chose. So whichever seat you're in, whether that's the CRO or the VP of sales, AI is already shaping your forecast, your deal quality, and your margin. The question is whether you can explain it. If you're an operating partner, those same use cases are now the lever you're pulling for value creation. And the risk you'll get re-underwritten on. And so this discussion isn't about AI hype. It's not about AI doom and gloom, so I'll do my best to keep us away from that. It's about which use cases genuinely create value versus which ones are quietly destroying it, for the number or even for the exit. So by way of short introduction, my name's Alex. I've spent my career in enterprise revenue, leading and scaling B2B SaaS sales teams across EMEA, in MarTech, in CRM, in CX. I've carried the number, I've missed it, I've hit it. So I know what it feels like when the board wants something with AI, and you're the one who essentially has to, deliver that or figure out what happens next. These days at Sapiro, I help revenue leaders and their investors build GTM engines that actually create value. And today I'm going to sit in the CRO seat. I'm going to play the CRO for this discussion.
Good one.
Under pressure from the private equity firm or the operating partner, because I think that's where the real tension lives. And so I'm not doing this alone. Let's introduce the two people I'd want most in the room for having this conversation. So Kamai, can you introduce yourself?
Igor, can you? I'll leave it. Please, Igor.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. Thank you very much. So first and foremost, thanks so much for having me. I think it's brilliant that we have a possibility to have this discussion. I'm Iga. I started a consultancy called Digital Rex a year ago, and we're trying to bridge the gap between AI governance GDPR, and FCA regulation. So my background is in the City of London, where I held C-suite and board positions. So I understand the flip side as well of my current work. And it's all about helping people navigate the current regulation, both in the UK and in Europe. I'm also a mentor with the FCA AI Supercharged Sandbox, already with cohort 2. So I'm very close to the insights about the innovation which is happening as we speak, and insights into how proactive the regulator is, which is all thumbs up. Having said that, it's all extremely transferable to any other industry because it's principle-based. So anything that the regulator decided needs to be observed is really good practice, which should be replicated across any industry to create sustainable businesses.
Yeah,
that's me.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you.
Amazing. Okay. I'm Kumei, the founder of Alter Sapiens, a creative technology and applied AI company in London. My background is in technology, data, digital transformation, AI transformation. For the last 3-4 years, I was mainly living with these new emerging creatures on a daily basis and trying to see how how AI can be integrated within the business, inside the business, not as an additional added-on layer of tech tools. Today, I'll try to bring all this operational and technology perspectives to the conversation. I think I'll play the role of API between business and regulation and see how we can play together. To see how these new emerging techs can really add value to the business instead of becoming a negative or burden issue to the, especially when it comes to exit and for the operating partners side.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the reason the three of us are doing this together is simple. Any real AI transformation has three parts that can't be separated. The business, the revenue engine itself, the area that I'm representing, the infrastructure, the data and the intelligence that fuels it, which is what you're representing, Kumai, and then the governance, including the regulation around it. And I think often that regulation piece is seen as an Achilles heel or a brake, but in fact, I think the opportunity that the revenue leaders and operating partners have is to actually see that as a springboard and use it as a competitive advantage.
Absolutely. And I like that we are calling, because, you could call it either governance or compliance, but compliance has loads of negative connotations. And I think calling it governance and just showing that forget this old bad word compliance, it's all about governing well to protect your value is the way forward.
Yeah, totally. And most AI conversations, when we think about the three of us, we'll only have one of our voices in the room. Whether it's a board level discussion or at the CRO discussion level. But today we've got all three, so we can actually pressure test this properly. So before we dive in, I'd like to start with a few questions that we can discuss and debate together. I just want to give a shout out to Phil Somser. Great to see you in the comments there, Phil. Feel free to pose any questions to us, as difficult as you like. But let's get started with the first question. So if the commercial engine is now the highest leverage way to create enterprise value, where do you both see the single biggest AI opportunity inside it right now? And is it the same opportunity for the CRO as it is for the operating partner, or are they chasing different things. Now, happy to give you my contribution as the CRO under pressure here, but I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts, or feel free to bat it back to me.
For me, I think there's a huge opportunity now to bring all business functions together, to connect. We were living in silos for a long time, and it was never possible to connect all functions together because it's not a possible mission, or it was a very difficult mission to get. Now, with the power of AI, I think this is very much a possibility, and there's a huge opportunity there because when you align everyone together, it's you boost the business and you give it extra power that were wasted for a long time.
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of the trio that we are, the infrastructure, the regulation?
No,
and
I can extend it to all functions in the business. Like, the thing is, silos in the business were there because everyone maintained their own data, everyone maintained their own operation, and it's hard to connect all these together. There's some legacy systems, there's some legacy platforms here and there, and especially for businesses more than 3-4 years old, it's a huge investment to combine all together or to get all together on one platform or connect them. Now, with the AI in place, I think we can accelerate this connection very much. We can bring them all together. They can understand each other. They can connect on specific cases or on an overall over the whole business scale.
Let me add then the two worlds, then the two contexts. In answer to the second part of this question, because I think it's important that we think about this from the CRO perspective, who is, whilst they want to be strategic, in reality, it's very short term. Am I hitting my number this quarter? Subsequent quarters, versus the operating partner that is thinking, I need to underwrite this deal in 2 years' time for a potential exit. What's happening over that time? And I guess they're two important lenses that, given the operating partner now is going to want to understand more about what's going on inside the revenue engine, because it's so important to the valuation and that value creation. How are they going to have that visibility?
Yeah, I completely agree. And, for the past 20 years, it's been all about big data. So every department was gathering data, and there was more and more of it, but not very much was being done about it. And I think now the companies need to have a very close look at what they hold and think about the AI implementation, with the very well known and recognizable phrase, garbage in, garbage out. So now we need to take all that data, look at what it's good about it, make it a little bit smarter, and then feed it into those tools. And as you say, Alex, on day-to-day basis for a CRO, they're looking at certain metrics. It all looks good. The dashboard looks great. But actually, whether it's sustainable or whether it's eroding something underneath within the business, we don't know. And that's what the operating partner needs to know at exit, because that's going to come out in the due diligence. It's not really now about enforcement from regulators. It's really about enforcement of certain practices via our investors and purchasers. So it's absolutely pivotal.
Yeah. Let's add Phil's perspective to this part of the conversation, because he's posed a question here, which I think is from the CRO's perspective, more than anything. So here's a question. Everything I hear from clients is saying we need to do more with less, and AI is the answer. The problem is, I don't think it actually stacks up. And as a result, I think there's also an even greater impatience for results than before. Because let's face it, we're all under pressure to generate revenue. What's the solution for this? Or feel free to disagree.
I can take it quickly with my quick perspective. I think you're absolutely right, and it's very clear across all industries. Whether you're a law firm, there is a high expectation of charging lower fees and having quicker turnaround, and so on and so forth. The problem that I've come across working with businesses is that there was the hype, there was implementation of a tool, there was finding the vendor. And that was it. And it's a project manager. It's a management project. It's change management. You've got to find the objective within your business, which is the best to be utilizing AI, and treat it as a strategy decision, not a tech decision, not really even operations decision, because that's all going to come down and trickle down from that one big objective. Where is the problem? So, find the problem and then the solution, not find the AI and try fitting it into a solution. And maybe then the businesses will have a little bit more meat on the bone to actually prove that it's happening, and it will bring very good results, and actually see the return on investment. It may take a little bit longer, but it's going to be much more sustainable. And I would hope that the client side is able to pick up on it and go like, okay, let's give them a chance.
Yeah, it's you speaking.
Definitely, I totally agree. I think if we look at the do more with less, and this is the tendency at the moment, everyone wants to do more with less, but the problem is they are starting from the top operation layer, from the execution as it is. They are not taking a step back and looking into the business processes, rethinking the whole process in the organization. And thinking of these elements with the AI in their mind, in the back of their mind. Because if I look at everything, as you mentioned, there's a lot of data. There was focus on big data for a long time. If I keep all this in mind with the power of AI I have in hand at the moment, maybe the whole business process in the organization, the whole enterprise architecture need to be changed, need to be redesigned. And this is where you will do more with less, because your business process will become different, shorter, more automation within, more accelerated with AI tools. So you will achieve the do more with less, but not by applying AI as a shell or tool on the top layer.
Yeah. What about a parallel approach, like a dual approach? So I'm the CRO. I want productivity and I want an impact on revenue as quickly as possible. Therefore, I don't have time to wait for a bigger, more strategic transformation. So I'm going to play with it anyway and figure it out. Who would then be responsible for taking a dual approach to actually work on both of those tracks, the transformation track as well as the short-term value track? Is that the CRO, or should that be someone else within the organization?
I don't think there is one single answer for this question. It's a case by case, and I think this is the beauty of what we are facing at the moment. I think we are leaving the era of one answer or one solution that fits most of our. Now we are more living the case by case, because we have the power to deal with case by case. Before, we used to have one solution that fits most of the cases, or it's a generalized solution, because it's not possible to build a specific solution to each case. At the moment, we can have this kind of tailor-made or bespoke solution. So in some organizations, it will be the CRO ownership to honor this. In some other organizations, it could be building a whole parallel unit that will start the transformation while keeping the rest of the business doing as they used to do, and eventually start moving the whole organization into the other side when it starts maturing. So I think it's every organization need to be assessed differently and find best fit for them.
Yeah, yeah. Because as as a CRO, I can imagine I would want control over both, or high degree of influence over both. But then, to some degree, you need to be careful what you wish for, I think, because I don't think many CROs understand the breadth of the responsibility that they need to take on with that when we think about the infrastructure and the regulation associated with a transformation like that, or not even a transformation like that, just some of the basic use cases, because as we know, and we're going to get into, some use cases are actually prohibited, and it's not the legal team or the IT team that are on the hook for that. It's the revenue leader themselves, the person responsible for that team and implementing those use cases.
Absolutely. And, following from that, you always have to have a champion, right? Who's going to be advocating and creating the hype around the new solution coming in. And this is brilliant. But all stakeholders must be listened to, and all stakeholders must be involved. But because, as you say, Alex, it's the revenue partner who's sat who's got her neck on the line there. But he's not a legal expert. So you need to be able to bring in your legal or your compliance team, depending on the size of organization, or your board, who should by now be aware of very many things. And, once you get your board trained and made aware, hopefully they're efficient enough to be able to force certain practices. But, the CRO maybe needs to be educated, and then it needs to be legal. Maybe legal needs to get a little bit, encouragement from compliance, who are people on the ground. So I think it's everyone needs to be involved, and that also will help with so-called shadow AI, where your team just starts going away and doing their stuff on their phones, and it's happening everywhere. And I don't think it's about trying to fight it, because there is a momentum. Embrace it, but do it in a clever way. Speak to people, find out what they like, what they dislike, and make them feel that it's a decision that comes from all of us, not coming down from the top.
Yeah, I'm conscious of time, and we've not got into the use cases yet. I think we're going to have to change that to use case. But I think by talking about one use case, it will kind of bring the reality of what we're talking about to be more clear. Before I do, I just wanted to shout out to Cameron, Ahmed, for joining and for making your point. I think this was a point you made earlier. Apologies, we didn't get to it at the point that you were making it, but you're saying it is not all about data. What is a business case and what is a pain they want to resolve? I think you're echoing what Igor was saying earlier, and too many businesses see AI as treating the symptom rather than really trying to understand the root cause of the business problem that is causing that and many other symptoms that will be surfacing within the business. Yeah. Cool. So let's get to the use cases. So I think this is a very popular one. So your call recording platform is scoring the emotional state of your reps on calls, and you use it to coach them, evaluate them, maybe manage them. Now, this is already a prohibited use case under the EU AI Act. So I think we need to go a bit deeper on this point about what people are actually recording and how they're using it. But here's the question for discussion. Where's the line between coaching your team and analyzing them? And practically, what should a revenue leader do about the tools they've already got that are doing this today? And there are many, call transcript applications or specific, sales conversation quality solutions like Gong, for example, that most will know of. So maybe I can just add one thing then. So I had a conversation recently with a good friend of mine that runs a global team of about 250 plus people, and we were having a conversation about call recording, and he said to me, "Don't worry, we've got that covered. We have a central team, an AI team, and the IT team set the AI systems up." I was like, "Well, great, but are you aware that you need an EU AI Act policy and that you're responsible for understanding the logic behind how these transcripts, these recordings are used?" "Oh no, don't worry, the IT team have that covered." But actually, legally, you are responsible for understanding, not just understanding the logic behind it, but explaining how it's used. I think that was a wake-up call, and I'm sure he's not the only revenue leader that thinks that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before I hand to Iga, I will add some technical aspects on this. I think there is a bit of confusion between what we used to do when analyzing technical sales calls or technical calls in any organization. Everyone used to do this for a long time, but we used to analyze like certain metrics, like what they said, the transcript of the call, some what we call emotions, but it's all from the transcript. What's happening at the moment, we are using a vendor tool that's getting not only the transcription, but also the what we call the acoustic biometric metadata. And this is where things get more interesting, because it goes through a process of analyzing the voice volume, pitch, speed, all these biometrics, okay, which belong to a certain person. And then after processing this in their system, it's converted into data for learning, for system training, and this data will come back to our system and get injected in the HR system for evaluation and improvement. So it go. Sometimes some people call it poison data, because it's already passed, broke many of the rules and regulations, and come back and integrate it in our system. And here, I think, where any business using any kind of these tools, they need to rethink. And I leave it to Iga to tell us what we should rethink about.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is, first and foremost, what is prohibited? Anything that infers emotions is prohibited. And you're dealing with it under AI EU Act, but also it's all the biometric special category of data under the GDPR. So whether you're in Europe or in the UK, you are in a very, very touchy environment. And anything that infers emotions and then influences decisions of people is unplugged. That those tools have very many features. That feature should be you should be able to ask your vendor to just kill, not to expose yourself to that very, very high risk. But it's understanding that everything is being now assessed on the use cases and how it's being applied, and not it's being sold, so it is allowed. No, it's down to your organization to understand where the inference of emotions happens and whether there are decisions about people made based on those inferences. And that's where you need to be paying attention.
And even though the deployer, so the vendor, is kind of deploying the AI in the system that you're using as the revenue leader, it's still your responsibility.
The CRO is the deployer. The vendor is the most probably either the importer or the provider. So there is a different set of requirements from deployers and providers, but when it comes to high-risk AI, it's still quite heavy. So it needs to be looked into. When it comes to prohibited AI, kill it.
Yeah, totally. And so the opportunity for me as the revenue leader here is looking at those use cases, but through one lens that includes the three areas that we're talking about today. So you've almost got these three lenses. I'm picturing a Venn diagram with one lens looking at what's the value of the infrastructure, or what does the infrastructure need to look like to ensure that the use case for my team is as effective as possible, but we're also using this intelligence and this data in other parts of the business. And from a regulatory perspective, how are we ensuring that, we're not getting caught out, but at the same time, we are leveraging the infrastructure, the regulatory definitions, let's say, as well as the, application of these capabilities in a way that maximizes the value that we're trying to deliver. So, that lens in the Venn diagram is leveraging all three areas to maximize the output, the outcome. Yeah. Okay. I'm conscious of time. Are there any more comments or thoughts on that use case?
I think you can proceed.
Okay. I mean, we could literally go on for hours.
That's what I wanted to say. It's a rabbit hole.
We are out of time.
Yeah.
Already? Oh,
I know.
I think
it's a good sign then.
I will add one small thing about what you just said. I think there's one word that every CRO or every leader keep in mind is explainability. Whatever AI I'm applying, I should be able at any point of time to explain if this AI or this solution is assessing my sales team sentiments or whatever. I need to know, like, when it gives a certain member a score on something, how this score came out, what's the basis of it. So I should not be living in a black box dilemma. I should have a very clear, and that's what I need to ask for. So it's not about stop using these tools. It's about asking your vendor to provide you with an explainable solution that you can defend in front of your board or in front of any due diligence board in the future. If I cannot explain it, I cannot sell it.
And just to add to that, it's absolutely right. And it's not always about the exact technical steps of how it happened. It's about to understanding the premise, the logic, and the fact that it's repeatable and not foldable. The black box is in itself is a problem. However, it may be overcome quite easily by making sure that the decisions which are that the outputs that we received are being checked against, human reasoning and our cognitive thinking, and say, okay, I understand this actually goes alongside the policy that we were given by the vendor, and that's we're probably already in a safe territory.
Yeah, good. And if you have any doubts or any questions, do come to us. So here's the takeaway from today's discussion. The commercial engine is now where enterprise value is won or lost. AI is slowly rewiring, this commercial engine, and most leaders are still checking reality once a quarter. If today has landed with you, we are running a small executive roundtable with CRO Connected, a partner of ours, where we're going to go deeper on these topics and actually help you find these gaps in your own revenue engine. So as a revenue leader or across a portfolio, if you're on the investor side, it's a working session, not a pitch. So you're very welcome. If you'd like a seat, then just DM one of us, me, Kamai, or Iga, or just drop the word roundtable, in the comments. I will finish with saying that we've written, and all three of us have contributed to the White Collar Horse article on sapirogtm.com. And so the link is in the description for this event. So if you do want to learn more, go and download that article, listen to it. There's an audio version, or use your favorite LLM. We've built in a briefing capability inside the piece. So with that, thank you, Kamai, Iga. It's been great.
Thank you.
We're definitely going to do more of these. I think we've literally just scratched the surface.
Great fun. Thanks so much.
Definitely.
Half an hour wasn't long enough.
No.
No, not at all.
Cool. Good. Unless
Brilliant.
there's any final thoughts, enjoy the rest of your Friday.